Well, guys, I appreciate everybody calling in today. We're excited about a lot of things that are just kind of starting to come together and happen here at BidPoint and with Avion Energy. I got to meet with Joe Mittiga and Jim Sharon today and talking about some things we're preparing, some exciting announcements coming down the pike with some other verticals we're going to be offering and just a lot of things that happen when you're starting something new with a new company. The great thing is BidPoint's a brand new thing and Avion Energy is an established thing. So we're tethered to something solid and excited about that relationship. People I've known for a long time, and there's just a level of comfort there. And one of the people that's been around Avion, for a long time is Don Shabilia in Pennsylvania, and she's the person, as you submit your information through that email to Avion Energy, Don, along with Kim Johnson, are the people on the other side. And it's split up by regions, and so we wanted you to get the chance to meet Don. So, Don, if you would, tell us what your experience has been like. I know you've been around since the beginning, and certainly in that 7-year stretch of time, you've seen a lot and gotten to experience a lot. So tell us kind of what your experience has been here at Avion, and kind of what your hope is for the future in this relationship with BidPoint.
Sure. Thank you, Rick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it has been, I would say, a very exciting experience right from the beginning. I mean, I remember you mentioned Joe Mittiga's name, and, I remember the first couple of days when Joe presented the idea of Avion Energy to a couple of us, and there were a few people that he mentioned it to, and, as he started getting things going, I think the way that I've seen things from the beginning to now, one of the biggest things that has been not only impressive but very exciting to watch was the number of suppliers that we had on board in the very beginning. Back in 2010, there was, a handful, and they started growing and growing, and so that's been a lot of fun developing that relationship with the suppliers and with our agents in the field, and seeing that grow. Been very, very impressive and exciting. And so just throughout the time, we've seen Avion grow from a company, where we've processed a couple of requests for pricing on a weekly basis to something that is bringing larger clients, bringing industrial types of clients, bringing small businesses of all types, and assisting the client in the whole process, helping them understand what we do and what it can do for their business. And that part of everything, I think, is one of the things I enjoy the most because, as we go ahead and present the client with some of the things that we're able to do for them, we find them best pricing, we help them gather everything, the information together, we put it together for them once we get pricing from multiple suppliers on one sheet of paper, one energy rate comparison. And so, I know for myself, sometimes when you're dealing with things that you're not very familiar with, if it could be presented to you in the simplest form so that it could really help you learn and make the best decision, that's always the best way. And so that's what we do for the client, and being able to have the client see a comparison between multiple suppliers, what they're offering, what they're currently paying, and what we found and how it impacts their bottom line is it's great, because to be able to have that, like I said, on this one email, this one sheet of paper in front of them, it's simple. It's a way to take a complicated thing and make it simple. And I think having that experience and doing this for all these years with Avion, I've noticed myself doing this type of thing in like every area of my life. I'm always comparing a couple of things and making sure that I understand them simply the way we do it here on a daily basis. And so I think that's one of the things that I feel is most important to understand, is that really what the client is getting for it's just a very large value to them. And I'm sure that's why your team, Rick, is here and building and growing as they are, because they know that it's a real good opportunity for others to be able to offer that to clients. And so,
well, I know, Don, as I go through the experience myself, and because the way that I operate in the field is I'm kind of the person that's the liaison between yourself and Kim and Jim and Joe in the field, and so I'm the person kind of in between that. So I'm learning a little bit as I go along here too, the differences, and like you say, when they get that bid sheet back, it all becomes clear. Things are a little bit muddy sometimes till it gets to that, but I guess when somebody's, let's talk a little bit about the kind of the document gathering process and what the, what's kind of behind that, and something that I share with the agents in the field is that the better the information is coming in and the more complete it is, the better the chance for best pricing. So, we collect 3 bill copies. I'm sure there's a pretty specific reason for that. I know some markets are different. Some are less, some are more, but the more information you get, I'm sure the better the information of the supplier, the more timely they respond, I'm sure. And so what happens when the LOA or the LOR gets submitted and the RFP and the bill copies, that all comes in to the email right now, and, kind of what happens from there? What do you guys have to do with that information?
Yeah, sure. That's just something that we first gather all the information. Well, we take a look at all the information that was gathered by you guys out in the field, check to make sure that everything's there. And I agree. According to what you were saying with the 3 bills, it is important to have as much of the information as possible. The 3 billing statements does serve, even if it's not required in some markets, it does serve as a really good purpose for suppliers to go back and check. They check credit worthiness based on if the bills are paid on time, if there are any shut-off notices and things like that. So if you do get a bill from a client, it's good to take a look. Make sure there's no past due balance. And if there is, then you definitely want to make sure that there are 2 other bills going along with it, because we there could be just a mistake that happened one month, they forgot to pay it or whatever. So they can be declined from a supplier because of an unpaid balance on the bill. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure that that you guys knew was important. And in addition to that, a complete billing statement. So that's one of the things we check also. And we do understand that a lot of customers will either just keep one page of the bill, or some of them aren't as good as keeping records as others, but it's always really important to make sure that we have a complete billing statement. Many of the bills will say, on the top corner or the bottom corner, page 2 of 5 or something like that, and that'll give you a hint as to how many pages the client did not give you. So I always like to check on that and ask the client while you're standing right there or speaking with them, hey, can we have the complete bill? Because even though it doesn't seem like there's important information on every single page, believe me, it is. We wouldn't ask for it, and our suppliers wouldn't ask for it. There's multiple things on the bill that help them make up the best price for your client. So that's the difference between what we do here and a lot of other companies out there that will offer like just a generic price that's going to cover a couple of different rate classes or usage amounts. And so what we do is we get the most specific price to the client, which will always generate the best price. So in regards to the bills, when we get those back, that's a couple of the things we look at. Also, believe it or not, it's worthy to say, the clarity of the bills. If the client is faxing, or making a copy on their machine and it's just not a good copy, please try to make sure you get that, because if we can't read the account number and you can't read the account number to put it on the LOA, then it's going to slow down the process as well. But we take all that information, we upload it into our patent pending system that we use, and from there it automatically tells us which suppliers will price in that particular utility for whether it's electricity or for gas and for that size client's usage. And so we go ahead and we get that out to all the suppliers through email. They see that we have a request for our client and your client to give us pricing. The LOR, that letter of representation, is also a very important piece of information, because we're not just pricing, like I said, with one supplier. We're pricing with multiple, and that does show all prospective suppliers that the client is looking to us here at BidPoint and at Avion to represent them in the best way. And so they know, and the suppliers have dealt with us for quite some time, so they do know that they've got to put their best price forward for us and include all the information that we request, if possible, because they're up against other suppliers, and they know that. So we send them all that information, and then the waiting period kind of happens. And this time of year, it's coming up on the fall, which on the electricity side, typically you get some pretty good pricing in the shoulder months, the fall and the spring. And on the gas side, this is the time of year where a lot of customers want to lock in the pit. So this tends to be a little busy time of the year on that next step, because the next step is where we need to wait for the utility companies to give the usage back to our suppliers. And so, being that there's a lot of requests for usage this time of the year, sometimes it just does take a little bit longer. And so once that comes back to our suppliers, they then put the prices together for us, and that comes all in to us right through our system, and then that's where we get to put it on that one simple energy rate comparison. We list it according to the price, low to high. We'll highlight the best options. Always check, because there's always some good notes in the field there. Different things that are offered from a supplier. There's some suppliers that offer an online enrollment. So a lot of times I'll put that in the notes so that when you guys are out in the field, you'll know you're talking to the client, and you could say, hey, this is an online enrollment, or this one's a paper enrollment. So some of that is just an example of some of the things we put in the notes. Whether one particular client is offering something that's for whatever reason more important than the others, we'll list that. If there are some suppliers that could not bid on the account, could be a lot of reasons for that too, we'll note that. But this way the client can see everything that was done behind the scenes for them and how it affects them, and that helps them make that final decision from there.
Yeah, that's good stuff. It's good to know. So
yeah.
I have a question for you. When we talked, you mentioned the LOR. So the LOA and the LOR, obviously, if somebody's seeing all the information, and of course, a lot of the customers that we talk about at BidPoint are going to be kind of, personal connection type of customers, kind of by design. But if you put it, let me ask you a question. So if you're putting this price sheet out there, let's say they're in Pennsylvania and say 15 people bid on it. It's a big property or a hotel or something. And so in that case, you're kind of leaving yourself exposed if you bid that in an LOA versus an LOR. Is that correct?
Well, both the LOA and the LOR are needed, and the LOA is the letter of authorization that authorizes the utility company, that's the company that delivers the energy to the customer. The LOA tells the utility company to release the data on their historical usage. So that is definitely needed for every single deal. What the LOR does is notifies the supplier, the one who's going to supply the electricity or the gas, that Avion Energy is representing the client suppliers at one time.
Right. So representing the client, meaning that other people can't go around that, correct?
Right. Exactly. Okay. So that'll tell them that, hey,
that's important on bigger deals, then, obviously, especially the way we put the bid sheets out there and put all the information out there, correct?
That's right. That is very important on the bigger deals, especially, and especially if they're flowing.
Sure. Now, what about on your daily process? I know your cutoff time is 4:30 Eastern time. Is that right?
Yep. In most cases, for gas, it could be earlier, but yes.
Okay. And then so let's just do a what-if scenario. Let's say tomorrow somebody submitted some information. You got it in the back office, sent it back out. Maybe you get prices back Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, depending. and then you then that information goes back out to the client as well as the agent kind of simultaneously with an idea of either generating the final pricing documents and the agreement to sign then, or scheduling a time the next day or the day after to finalize it, because everything's going to happen on the same day, right?
Yeah, I mean, the ideal situation is for everything to happen in the same day. But these customers are small business owners, and many times they wear so many hats that it's hard to get their attention, and we understand that, for them to make a decision. We certainly don't want them to rush through signing a contract, to feel pressured by that, or to not ask questions. So very often what I tell people is, hey, here are today's prices, present them to your client. If for time or whatever is a problem, have them use these numbers on the sheet to base their decision, and then when there is a better day for them to review the paperwork and sign, we'll refresh the numbers. Let us know, hey, we pick ABC supplier 24 months. We like that. So then we'll go ahead and refresh that and get the paperwork for that particular supplier and term. If there's been anything crazy or crazy movement in the market, then, we'll make sure that we reevaluate everything. But we always check from all the suppliers to make sure their rates haven't moved, but we will always refresh that one contract and get them needed so that they're not pressured with time.
Right, and we're also working off those documents. Those require a wet signature. I know some markets are different, but basically we want wet signatures on all these final documents, correct?
Yes, with the exception of some suppliers that are doing online enrollment. Some of them are by email or e-signature. Very few, and it's not available everywhere, so don't look for them right away, but there are some.
You'd be notified on the pricing document if that was the case, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right, that's awesome. Well, it's exciting to be kind of part of this process. I was around Avion in the beginning stages, and I can personally see the advances that you guys have made, and it's pretty exciting. Plus, I know what else is out there in the marketplace, and what we're doing here is beyond anything I've seen out there in the marketplace too. So all of that's pretty exciting. So, Don, if you would tell it, what territories do you cover? What part of the United States do you cover?
Yeah, it's mostly the whole northeast of the country. So everything from New Jersey and Pennsylvania all the way up through the New England states, up to Maine.
Okay.
With the exception of Maryland, that belongs to Kim, but everything else on this side of the world is my state.
Everything else on this side of the world. There you go. Well, just so you know, I know Kim's got Georgia too, and since that's where I live, that's kind of our part of the world too, So
that is.
We do consider Georgia to be part of the world. So.
That's right, and it's a good world at that.
Even though I'm originally from Boston, okay.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
just so you know. Well, Don, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy, and this time of day it gets to be really busy. So appreciate the fact that you're able to spend some time with us. Wanted everybody to kind of get a feel for you, and just so everybody knows, this will be uploaded next 24 to 48 hours. We're able to find it on Facebook and also at BidPoint.co. So, Don, once again, thank you for your time. And hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I'm sure everybody else appreciates the insight that you brought to us here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Rick.
Thanks, Don. Bye-bye.
Bye.